I'm recording this video with full knowledge that I don't know how to split screen photos and video in my editing software, so let's see what happens with this. Welcome back. I just want to jump right into this. I'm super excited about this video. We're going to be taking a look at the character portraits versus the Dreamcast of Civil Blood. So we're going to look at the awesome portraits that were done by Rose, R.A. Rambones on Instagram. She did all my character portraits for Civil Blood versus the Dreamcast. So the character storyboards I sort of had that I used as inspiration for the physical attributes of the characters while writing the book, and kind of compare and contrast the two and see how they match up. Honestly, Rose did such a fantastic job. She knew what these characters looked like more than I did. Like, I gave her descriptions and kind of personality things, but I didn't know they looked like this until she drew them. So just put it that way. I'm very proud of them. I'm very happy that I chose to work with her. I'll put her information in the link below. In the meantime, let's get started. So it's only fitting that we start with the very first person that we hear from in Civil Blood, which is River Matthews. I'll pop him up on the screen here. This is the portrait that Rose did for me of River. He is a 17-year-old boy. He is mixed race. He lives in Barton Heights, which is a small clandestine community in Thistle Wolf. He is the grandson of the prophet, and he is going through some life shit at the beginning of Civil Blood, trying to figure out kind of where he belongs in his community and having no idea that his life is about to completely flip upside down. We're not even talking Fresh Prince of Bel-Air level getting my life flipped, turned upside down. We're talking like earth-shattering, everything I know might not be real type of flipping the life upside down. But he was inspired by a thirst trap of a model on Instagram named Lawrence Koch. I only recently came across Lawrence a couple of years ago, but even before I knew about Lawrence, I knew that that's what River looked like. He was always mixed race or ambiguously ethnic, and the only big difference between Lawrence and River is the jaw. So River has like this serious jawline going on. It's one of the main things that our other protagonist Fina notices about him, and so Rose did a really good job of making it like really pronounced and something that you would look twice at. I love how his hair turned out. It was important to me to have really textured hair. All the Matthews kids have really textured hair. They take after their dad, and of course he's wearing red because at church everyone in Barton wears red, and it's sort of cut off, but he has on his cross necklace. All in all, I'd say 7 out of 10 match. River's a little bit darker than Lawrence, but that was on purpose. And we can't talk about River without talking about our other protagonist, Fina Camejo. I'll pop her up on the screen here. Fina is a 17-year-old bruja. She has just moved to Thistle Wolf with her coven. She's a pyrokinetic, bubblegum chewing valley girl who does not give a fuck if you like her or not. She is spunky and anxious and sarcastic and compassionate and loyal, and her inspiration was another thirst trap on Instagram, a model named Christina Nadine. Christina modeled Fina, not the other way around. Like with River and Lawrence Koch, River always looked like Lawrence Koch before I knew who Lawrence Koch was, but Fina actually got a complete sort of makeover once I discovered Christina Nadine about a year and a half ago, because she just looked exactly how I pictured Fina, but until I saw her I didn't know that, if that makes sense. So the portrait of Fina doesn't look a whole lot like Christina, and that's something that's interesting to me too, is even though I wrote Fina based on Christina Nadine and the portrait looks nothing like Christina, it still to me looks like Fina. There's a flame in her cheeks that speaks to me, and of course she's got the Marcan de Bruja in her left eye, which is the heterochromia of blue that all Brujas have, but her face looks like she's if she opened her mouth she would breathe fire, and that was super important to me to that you could see just how close to the surface Fina is to exploding at any moment. She's a relatively young Bruja, and she has a really hard time controlling her power because it is so explosive. It was the first one that I got, and I just was freaking out excited about it. I thought it was super, super cool. And so in terms of matching the DREAMCAST that I had, it's really like a 4 or 5 out of 10. The lips are pretty accurate, the eyebrows, the freckles, the ears, because I love Christina's, she has bigger ears, and I loved that. But Rose really made Fina her own with this one, and I loved that. The next one we're going to talk about is Bernardo Camejo, because he does have a couple of chapters that he narrates in all the books, so I'll pop him up on the screen here. He is a mind-reading Bruja. He is a painter. He's always got paint on his face, on his pants. He is a huge playboy, but very close to the chest, very close to his family, but hiding and harboring a lot of loneliness. And his inspiration was Avon Jogia, and she pretty much nailed it on the head with this one. Again, Bernardo has the heterochromia, which is the Marcon de Bruja in the left eye, but the goatee is exactly what I pictured Bernardo to have. The hair is exactly what I pictured him to have. The eyebrows, the way his eyes are set, his cheekbones, that he has paint on his face. He looks just pretty much like a mirror image of what I expected him to look like. I would really give this a 9.5 out of 10, if not 10, just for the fact that Avon has more of a round face, and Bernardo sort of had more cut cheekbones in this portrait. But I like that it gives him more of the lone wolf look, to be kind of more cut in the face, a little bit leaner, because he's a little bit of a wider guy, but I liked his leaner face. So there's not a lot to say about that one. That one's like perfection. And as far as Bernardo's inspiration, I always had the idea that I wanted to do one of the brothers, either Carmen or Bernardo, would be inspired by Avon Jogia, and it just turned out to be Bernardo. And the next one we're going to talk about is everyone's favorite character, including mine, Sparrow Jackson. Let's pop her up on the screen here. I love how she turned out. Now, Sparrow's inspired directly by Brianna Hildebrand. She's always looked like Brianna Hildebrand ever since I saw Deadpool and fell in love with Brianna Hildebrand. I love her short hair. That's one of the reasons Sparrow got the plot point of having her hair cut off, is Brianna Hildebrand looks great with the super short hair, and Sparrow looked like Brianna, so there you go. Rose did a fantastic job with Sparrow. I really wanted her to be really pale, mostly because she's one of the only white people in this book that get a lot of page time, so I just wanted her to look really different from everybody else. She is somebody that blazes her own path in Thistlewolf and in Barton, so I wanted her to just kind of look different from everyone else. Of course, she's the only one with that super short hair. She's got her makeup on point at all times, and she's one of the only people who really like focuses on their makeup, or it's pointed out that she's got sick makeup at all times. Only thing that I would say about her is I personally pictured her eyes to be a little bit bigger, because it's said often in the book that she's got this doe-eyed look, but this is more of a relaxed facial expression, so I don't really hold that against Rose at all, because I think if she was, you know, like me, like I usually am just like flat, but then when I'm talking to someone, I'm animated and my eyes open and I get wider in my eyes. So I get that. That's totally fine. Of course, she's wearing red. Everybody in Barton Heights Church wears red, and you can kind of see hers more than River's, but she's got her cross on as well. But with this one, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. She did a fantastic job with my vision. I did want her hair to be a little bit lighter, because again, she is one of the only white people in this book. I wanted her to look really different from everybody else, so I did want to give her a little bit more of a fairer complexion. So all in all, I'm super happy with Sparrow. The next one we're gonna pop up on the screen is everyone's favorite asshole, Papa Matthews. So we'll pop him up on the screen here. Don't know who Papa is inspired by. Actually, this is just a picture I found on Pinterest a million years ago, and that became Papa. And Papa is the leader of Barton Heights. He's the prophet, he's the pastor, he is our antagonist for the most part, besides Aradia, of course, who we'll get to a little bit later. But he's the head of Barton Heights, and he is the spearhead of the anti-witch propaganda and the real serious sort of war on Brujas, as it is in Thistlewolf at the moment. So with this portrait. This is one that, again, I didn't know he looked like this until she showed me that he looked like this. I love that she did the detail that he's got a scar through his eyebrow. I love the idea that he's still pretty cute. Like, he's an attractive looking guy, and you can see where, you know, the Matthews kind of get their looks from. Of course, all the Matthews have the same color eyes, so he's got those green hazily eyes. And he's very salt and pepper, sort of streaked through with gray in the beard and the hair, but he looks like he'd be a nice guy. And that was really important to me. I mean, despite his facial expression, you can still see that he's a soft grandpa type guy. And that was important to me because one of the scariest things about Papa is that he is someone's grandpa. He is someone's dad. He is somebody that people look up to, and he is a soft, charismatic, calm man who is instilling some really intense, hateful rhetoric with this calm demeanor. So I really wanted that to show through, that he's calm, but you can kind of see in the set of his mouth and the way that his jaw is kind of clenching that it's all a ruse. And then of course he's wearing red, he's got his cross on. I give this one an 8 out of 10 as well. I think she did a great job aging him up a little bit from the photo because he is, after all, a grandfather. And of course, if we're gonna talk about the leader of Barton Heights, I think it's only fair that we talk about the leader of the Covenant, which is Ophelia Camejo. I'll pop her up right here. Now this is a super well done encapsulation of what Ophelia looked like, in my opinion. Her inspiration is Paz Vega. She had this great bob at one point and was wearing these diamond earrings, and I saw this photo and I was like, that's Ophelia, like 100%. She's very polished. She wears stilettos and nice trousers like all the time. You can't tell her nothing about fashion. She's very, and I think that this portrait illustrates how polished she is. Like, her lipstick is on point. She's got this very tall, long demeanor. Her hair is perfect. There's not a hair out of place. You can see the diamond earring peeking out from behind her hair. She's got the heterochromia, the Marcon de Bruja in the left eye, and she's got a longer and more angular face. You know, some of the kids, which I thought was important because she is 25, but she's also hundreds of years old. So I thought it was important to kind of draw her or present her in a way that showed that yes, she looks young, but she's not young, and she has still a maternal vibe to her, a sophisticated, older, edgier vibe to her. And honestly, I think she did a great job with this one. And I would give it an 8 out of 10 just because of, I mean, it looks pretty similar. It's really hard to kind of do exactly what I wanted with Ophelia because she's the mother figure. I'm very, very attached to her. So I don't know if anybody was going to be able to get a 10 out of 10 on Ophelia. For me, that's just how I feel about that. And finally, we have the baddest bitch in the land herself, Aradia. Now, we don't see a lot of Aradia in the book. There's only one person who sees Aradia the way she truly is in this book, and that's a spoiler, so I won't tell you. But later on, we definitely see a lot of her, and of course, when I'm visualizing her and writing her, it's important to me to have a very clear visual of the big bad in your series. Hello. I really like this a lot because Aradia is based on Diana Agron. I'm in love with Diana Agron. Nobody was gonna be able to make a drawing that looked like Diana Agron but still had what I wanted out of it and satisfy me. It just wasn't gonna happen. Aradia looks like this drawing, but I didn't know it until I saw the drawing. One of those situations, once again, where the word that comes to mind when you think of Aradia is honey. She's got honey hair and honey skin and honey eyes, and she just looks very like soft and feminine, and she wears this green gown and is very like commanding but soft. And it was important to me to write an antagonist who wasn't overtly sexual or psychotic or any of those weird tropes that we give female villains. I wanted her to be just evil. Rose did a fantastic job on her, and she is a demon. She's the queen of demons, so she's also pyrokinetic just like Fina, and you can see in her cheeks she's got that fire in her cheeks and sort of behind her eyes, and I love the way that Rose was able to do that. None of the other women look like exactly like that with their sort of blushed cheeks, their flushed cheeks. Aradia and Fina have a certain fire to them in the drawings, which is very important because they are the only two people that can shoot fire from their eyeballs. So I give this a solid 8 out of 10 as well. Like I said, no one was gonna be able to make Diana Agron into a portrait for me and call it a radia, but I love the way she looks in this portrait. I think that Rose, again, did a fantastic job. And that's all I've got for you guys on this video. Let me know if you want to see some more like minor characters, if you want this done for the Accidental Evils characters that are introduced, if you want this done for some other minor characters. I don't have portraits of anyone else, but I'd be happy to do a video with you guys about my dream cast for a bunch of other characters, or for the main characters in Accidental Evils, because there are a couple more main characters that we get introduced to for book 2. So if that's something you guys would like to see when that gets closer to being appropriate, let me know. In the meantime, I make videos every Saturday, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.